Reports from Zimbabwe indicate an unusual calm this morning with streets empty and schools closed. The tension is as Zimbabweans brace themselves for a significant protest against President Emmerson Mnangagwa's government set to take place today. The protests are fueled by widespread frustration over governance failures and rampant corruption, which many argue have crippled the nation's economy. Leading the charge is Blessed Geza, a former Zanu-PF member and war veteran who is rallying citizens to voice their grievances. To discuss this further, we are joined by Aaron Ngambi, a geopolitical analyst, and he joins us from Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much, Aaron, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a foundational question. What do you make of the current state of unrest in Zimbabwe? What are the issues?
Well, for some time now, the Zimbabwean people have had serious grievances against the government. There has been a lot of concerns about human rights violations and human rights abuses by the current regime. And so the Zimbabweans have been trying to find an avenue to voice out and be able to...
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Yes, so the Zimbabwean people have been looking for a way that they could express concerns about, the human rights issues in Zimbabwe, but also the economic challenges that the country faces. Right now, Zimbabwe, for the longest time, has been experiencing a lot of hardships, and the economy has not been doing very well. And a few years in power that President Mnangagwa has been president of that country, he hasn't addressed the fundamental issues of the economy, and also there's been allegations of corrupt practices and corruption on his part and the government itself. Therefore, these are the issues that we're dealing with today in Zimbabwe.
Now, Blessed Geza, who is the leader of this brewing protest, has a unique background within Zimbabwe's political landscape, according to what we understand. But then what impact do you think his leadership will have on the potential outcomes of the brewing protest?
Blessed Geza has the confidence of most of the people, primarily because he is part of the group that is called the war veterans, or the people that fought for the liberation of Zimbabwe or the independence of Zimbabwe in 1980. So this is a man who has been in the bush and who fought for the liberation of that country. Therefore, because of those credentials and because of the things that he has done in the past, and now he's calling upon the people to say, we have to fight this regime, we have to stand up to the regime because of its failures and because of the corruption that we're seeing. A lot of people are resonating with that message and are following what he is saying. I do not know that Blessed Geza could be the next leader of Zimbabwe or wants to be the next leader of Zimbabwe, but what I know for sure is that he's paving a way or giving a voice for the people that feel otherwise, that their voices are gripped, that they could not challenge the regime. So I think he's a symbol of struggle as we speak now, but I don't think that he'll provide any leadership going forward after this agitation is over.
Well, already we've seen the government of Zimbabwe's response having to give about $50 allowances to the police. Of course, looking at the protest that's coming up, and it looks like the government is not willing to listen to the citizens, but rather look by the way of security personnel. What does that tell you?
Well, it's very risky for the government of Zimbabwe to allow mass protests, or to allow people to express their displeasure or disappointment with what is happening in the country. The reason for that is because they're not so sure how these protests will unveil. But we have to remember that the right of protest, peaceful protest in Zimbabwe, is enshrined in the constitution. So what Blessed Geza and others are asking for is just a basic human right. It's their right for them to go to the streets peacefully and demonstrate to the Zimbabwean government that they are unhappy about what is happening, that they deserve a voice, that they want to be heard. But the reaction from the government is interesting because, as you have pointed out, they have given police officers allowances to make sure that they stop these protests, or at least curtail them and make sure that nothing happens. I think this is a mistake by the Zimbabwean regime. I think that they should allow for a peaceful protest. I think that they should make sure that there is crowd control and there's good management of these protests by the police, rather than completely trying to suppress it.
Before I let you go, Aaron, quickly, in 2016, before Mnangagwa came into power in 2017, there was a protest. In 2019, there was a protest. Now we're having another protest. Do the people seem resolute to demand and stay on this cause until they get what they want?
Yes, if you look at the resilience of the Zimbabwean people, they are very, very determined. They are one of the people in the region who are very educated, well informed. Therefore, they know the power to protest, the power to agitate for change. They understand that if they can do that peacefully, they can be able to send a signal or a correct message to the Zimbabwean government. The problem is how the regime is trying to react to this. Just like you pointed out, we have seen protests in the past, and some of them have been actually peaceful. But some of them have received brutal force from the regime and from the police to try to stop such protests. That is what we're working with this movement. That will be something they need to do, and they'll continue doing that.
All right. This is a situation we'll continue to monitor from here. Thank you so much, Aaron Ngambi, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.